I know this has been a while, and I hope you don't hate me for it, but it has been a genuine nightmare. I do not recommend getting sick at all, and the dreaded COVID is just jeepers. But we're here now, we're back with a draft video. If you watched my latest live stream, or my only live stream now, I think that is actually on the channel, which a lot of you did, which thank you very much for that. It was a lot of fun, can't wait for the second one. You're probably thinking, I thought we were getting a non-draft video. Well, because it's been such a break between videos, I still want the YouTube algorithm pushing the content to you guys. It does that really well with draft videos, and I wanted to do this video a little while ago. Got a bit crook, so here it is now. Yes, every team, all 18 clubs, want to get the draft right. I believe these 5 clubs need to more than the other 13. So let's talk about it and order them accordingly. Let's go. Number 5, the Hawks. Now, hang on, Daz. I hear you cry. Bias much? Come on, we know you're a Hawks man. You know, we know you've got the gender reveal lighting going on at the moment, but why are the Hawks here? They're going to get 2 father sons. They're probably going to get another prospect in the 40s/50s, and they've got pick 4. I mean, half the work's already done for them. I would agree with you. However, pick 4 in this draft, it's the first one of the entire draft where there is influence behind the decision making. Hawthorn are really, in my opinion, only interested in 4 guys. Daniel Curtin, Zane Dersma, Nick Watson, and Connor O'Sullivan. They're the 4. The Fab 4. But where Mark McKenzie's getting a little bit of criticism is the 3 top 10 guys that Hawthorn have had have actually been on the weaker end of what we've seen from Hawthorn's youngsters. So we've had Denver Granger Barris, who not only is not playing in the position he was drafted in, looks like he's going to be trained as a forward this year, even though we got Marbior Chol and Jack Gunston. And in his last AFL game, he got subbed out statless in the 3rd quarter. I know he's still young, but facts are facts. We can live in the world where, do I hope it gets better for Denver? Absolutely I do. Apart from the fact that he's a ripping bloke, to be a top 10 talent, you have to be good. And he was very good in his draft year. But Hawthorn have already got someone who plays Denver's role, and he's a perennial All-Australian pretty much until he retires, in James Sicily. Josh Ward's been pretty good. Hawthorn don't need an outside midfielder. So, is Josh Ward going to be a 250 game wingman? He definitely can be. But as a proper top 10 standout? Not yet, can still get there. Cam McKenzie, again, can still get there. That's not the point of this chat at all. But in terms of standout players last year, Josh Weddle had a better debut season. Mainly because depth in Josh Weddle's part of the ground wasn't as good as first perceived. Whereas Cam McKenzie was coming into a midfield room with plenty of doubt. And they were amazing without him. So now the Hawks have got another top 10 pick. And it needs to be the best of the lot. Number 4, Melbourne. They've got 2 picks in the top 11. And they're the best team in the competition, in my opinion, that are fundamentally flawed. Now, no team is perfect. Collingwood are not a perfect football team. They just won the flag. But they were better at what they're good at than any other team in the competition and won the flag. And they're the best team in the competition. That's not the direction I'm going here. But there aren't really fundamental flaws in the Pies. There's imperfections, but not flaws. Brisbane, there are weaknesses to their side. There are little gaps in their list. But overall, for the second best team in the competition, they're not fundamentally flawed. They were 4 points off a flag. Carlton's biggest flaw is now between the ears. Because on the field, they're 22, look pretty good. Could they make improvements? Of course they can. Every team can. But am I looking at fundamental flaws from the Blues? Not really. Their midfield looks good. Their forward line can score. And they can defend really well. That's pretty good. GWS, pretty much the same. Their forward line was improving every week. Their defense kept them in games. And the resurgence of Kelly and Cornelio, as well as the rise of Xavier Ellis's biological son, Tom Green, meant they were really good. Port Adelaide fixed the ruck and the defender department on paper. Whether it works in-game, yet to be seen. But the fundamental flaws from Port were fixed on paper. Sydney, one of the best teams to come out of the trade period. So they're looking pretty good. Melbourne, still worry about their tools. Still worry about their forward line. Still worry about their scoring. Now, is a pick 6 and a pick 11 in 2024 going to fix that? Not necessarily. Matt Jefferson still needs to come through. But if you can land Nate Caddy at 6 and James Leake at 11 and throw Harrison Petty forward, that's a lot of flaws that are done on paper. Those two would be the perfect picks, but they need to come out of this first 2 picks with one guy forward of centre that can play round 1, even though they got Shane McAdam. It's a non-negotiable for me. You need to come out of the first round of this draft with one guy forward of centre that'll play round 1. Whether it's Caddy, whether it's Watson, which would be freakish with Pickett and McAdam. But they need to do it. This group's got enough problems on and off the field, as is well documented at this point. They can't get it together, and they waste this era, which sounds crazy because they've already won a flag. It'd be an indictment on the legacy of this group. Because the Bulldogs had to stumble a little bit after their flag. The Eagles haven't really been back. Do they fall by the wayside as well? Only one way to find out, and they've got to rejuvenate that forward line. Number 3, Adelaide. When you've got 3 picks in the top 20, you've just got to get them right. One of them's got to be a tall defender. I'm reasonably confident in that. And if they can come out of this draft with George Stevens, I will get out of my chair and yell. Every midfielder at the Crows is very good at what they can do, but only Laird and Dawson can do other things. Now, I'm not counting Rory Sloane as a midfielder at this point, because he was playing half forward, but was attending a lot of stoppage clearances anyway. So, is what it is. But when you've got Matt Crouch who can only play in the midfield, but you can rotate Pedler, Rochelle, Rankin, send Laird and Dawson at different points of the game to half back or even to a wing if you want to do Dawson like that, which I don't think they will, but they can. You open yourself up to another bull. Matt Crouch staying at the Crows, pretty good. He can go back to being a depth piece in 2025 as Stevens develops. Although he's that good, he could play round 1. But give me a tall defender, give me a midfielder, and then just give me someone with wicked X-Factor talent, and the Crows are sorted. But if they somehow get through these 3 picks and it's just ticking along, I guess, they might waste a golden opportunity. And this isn't so I can get a prediction right. It's really not. When you got 3 picks in the 20s, you just got to make them count. You really do. Look at any successful side. You've got to get your draft right. And then you add pieces from other clubs. And the last piece they got from another club, Jordan Dawson, that's worked out pretty well. Number 2, the Eagles. The reason why the Eagles aren't number 1 on this list is because they're not trading pick 1. So, in terms of need to get it right, they're going to get pick 1 right. Because as it sits right now, it's Harley Reid. And what I really don't like about, say, a club like St Kilda, who I hear about this a lot, or clubs that go in with pick 1 and then retrospectively that guy wouldn't be the best player in the draft. Clubs at pick 1 aren't good teams. We know that. Okay, take 2001, the Hawthorn Freo thing out. No team that's got pick 1 is good, right? Which means they're not taking who they think the best player in 10 years is going to be. They need to take the best kid now. That's the point. And when you put a guy in the worst team in the competition, it does take something and someone special to rise above that. Can Harley do it? I hope so, for his and West Coast's sake. But who knows? But right now, the work's been done for them at 1. Now, at 23 and 37, which I think are their next 2 picks in the draft, they just got to take talent. They've got to take talent. I think one of them needs to be a tall, and I think they might give up some assets, trade back into this draft, maybe between the 23 and 37 mark, and maybe try and pick up another youngster, dependent on who might be a bit of a faller. But West Coast dodged the number one spot here for a couple of reasons. One, the club that's at number one is A, the one you're thinking of, and B, just got an outrageous number of early selections. But also B, there are ways for West Coast to come out of this draft and kickstart their rebuild that would be a big middle finger to a Victorian-based mainstream media that wants Harley Reid in Victoria for reasons that make no sense to me. Because when West Coast are good, footy's really good. Footy in the 90s, I keep getting told, is the best era ever. Early 90s, 91 to 94, were the Eagles. Alright, I know 05, 06, that era of footy mightn't have been great. That West Coast team on paper was batshit. And the 2018 Eagles, the one and done Weagles, they were really good. They were really fun. They won without Nick Nat and Andrew Gaff. And I know that Andrew Gaff's a bit of a meme now. But in 2018, Andrew Gaff was one of the best wingmen in the AFL. Footy's in a really good place when West Coast are good. And this kid's going to be very good. So let's just let him be good and let West Coast add pieces around his selection as they get further into the draft. It can't be that difficult to understand. But they still need to get it right. And number one, who else but North Melbourne? Do I need to explain this? Even if they don't use all 5 picks as they stand, they might trade up for, say, Geelong's pick, for example, or, you know, do they target maybe GWS's second pick just to move up a little bit? Doubt it, but you can throw the question out there, I guess, if you want to. You know, trade up for Essendon's pick, maybe. If there's a guy there that you really want, they're the ones that have got the ammunition to. But you give me pick 2, 3, 15, 17, 18, you just need to get it right. Simple as that. 2 of them need to be talls. I would argue 3 nearly. You could take Curtin early, Showan Maker if he's still there, and Archer Reed. As well as, 2 other guys. McKercher and Lance Collard, for example. Clarko loves drafting his talls. Hawthorn fan, trust me, I know that he does. And I think he'll do it here. I really do. But my God, if at least 3 of these kids don't work out, what more can an industry really do in terms of help? 0. No club needs to nail the draft more than the Kangaroos. But again, as a footy fan, I hope they do. Because seeing a side, a team, any team be this bad for this long, it feels like it's been ages. And it's only really been, 4, 5 years? Like, crazy that it's only been this short term in terms of, bad. You think of, like, Richmond post-1982 to 2001. Like, now we're talking basket case, right? This has only been 4 years, and it's felt like a marathon. I nearly swore then, but I didn't. I know some of you don't like me swearing, so I didn't. But those are the 5 guys. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know. Plenty of other clubs I could have put in here, but hey, when you do a top 5 list, you really got to do a top 5 list. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope it's been better than mine. I can't wait to get more content to you this week, and Sunday is going to be an amazing day. The 12th of November, 7 o'clock. I'm going to do my second and last draft Q&A, so you guys will be able to jump on with me and ask all your questions. But of course, if you got one now, drop it in the comments of this video. I love interacting with you guys. Stay safe, be well, have an absolutely amazing next couple of days if you've got them both off for Melbourne Cup weekend down here in Victoria, or if you're just working. I hope that goes really well as well, because you're a superstar and you bloody deserve happiness. Talk to you soon, guys. Can't wait for it. Goodbye.